finding experiences where folks can recognize their humanity is the way to bring people together, right? Being intentional around trust building and open dialogue and communication is like the other way to go. So there's no like easy path to that, and it's not gonna be one day you look up and it's all fixed, right? But I think people's ability to have those conversations and kind of remain open to the possibility of growth is a key factor of repairing relationships like that. Sometimes HR people, sometimes it's the person who's leading the organization, sometimes it's like the only person of color in the organization that gets pinpointed as you are now the race expert. So anything that comes up about race is now your responsibility. And not everybody's equipped or prepared to deal with these conversations because not everybody's had an education around how to hold space, how to resolve conflict, and kind of bring some of those differences to an understanding. Particular behaviors need to be openly addressed and corrected. Absolutely. In other instances, it might mean that behaviors that are existing are a symptom of a larger issue or problem with the organization's culture, right? Those are some of the things I want like folks to consider, right? Is that if not everybody's prepared, how do we help them get more prepared, right? What can we do to ensure that it's not the singular responsibility of your equity director or whoever it might be in HR, right? To hold all of these conversations. How do we make it so that people in the workplace, whether you're entry level or you're the CEO or executive, how do we make it so that everybody can have these conversations in an open and respectful and authentic way, right? How do we recognize culture? How do we recognize individuality in the workplace and still get the job done? And other times when those conversations in that space is handled well, sometimes that can be a turning point or a way to kind of galvanize your group, improve morale, right? And work on the things that you need to work on as an organization. I have this assertion, right? And I wrote it down. It's here in my notes. I just wanted to share it with you because I think that it's an interesting idea and I think it's something that we all need to kind of think about a little bit more. And this assertion is that at home, at work, in our social lives, that we're speaking different leadership languages. This lack of common language is often what is leading to misunderstandings in the workplace. And all industries, they have their jargon for the technical aspects of their work. And some may have jargon for the human aspects of their work, but most don't. Another way to say it is being a good leader, right, and being a good manager are just different concepts. But this idea about what is leadership and how do you identify a leader in your workplace, another way to ask the same question is, how do you know when someone is professional or unprofessional, right? All of that is rooted in race, class, privilege, and bias, right? There are certain things that are like industry standards, right? But I think about something as simple as dress code, right? When you're in a corporate space, everyone's showing up, suits and ties, like everyone kind of knows that that's like a thing. But if I came in with a colorful jacket, does that mean that I'm being unprofessional? It depends on who you are. Your response will depend on who you are, right? So wearing a purple jacket with a red handkerchief might be unprofessional based on somebody's idea or opinion of that color. When you see what life and expectations are in these different kind of professional settings, what's expected of you is just different. But when those things just aren't even communicated, right? You'll show up in t-shirts and jeans and sneakers and like you'll think that's okay because you don't know, right? And that attire might actually serve you better in that particular setting. But me showing up here today in like shorts or jeans and some sneakers, you know what I'm saying, and a fitted cap, it's very different energy, right? This would be the same information, but you would receive it differently based on my appearance. But microaggressions against women, people of color, queer people, those microaggressions are never addressed or recognized as unprofessional or unleaderlike, right? In fact, the behaviors of non-white, low-income, queer folks are often perceived as weaknesses and are disqualifiers for hiring, promoting people in given races. Companies are doing a variety of different things around how they hire, fire, and promote people, right? This isn't a knock on like your particular organization, particularly if you don't like operate in this way. But I want you to think about if you're the person who's coming in without that social capital and knowledge about what the standards and behavioral expectations are in a particular workplace, and somebody then comes to check you on it, right? That person who says something to you, that behavior might seem like a microaggression. That behavior will never be looked at as improper, right? Oftentimes it'll look, the way that people talk about that kind of thing is this is how we hold people accountable, right? In most places, it's fine. People are like, okay, we're just gonna like fall in line and like do the thing. I'm not trying to cause riots or an upheaval within organizations. I just want people to really kind of be more mindful and to consider what these other perspectives are. And to take a moment to really listen from people who are feeling oppressed, for people who are feeling like judgment is being placed on just how they are showing up, and then incorporate that feedback into the structure of the organization. So, what do we do now? Right? Like, we've talked about a lot of stuff. But the question is, and this is really where it gets interesting, is I'm curious about what's happening at your organizations now. How are you addressing these particular issues? If you found some things that really work, let's talk about it. But if there are things that like aren't working, then like this is also a good place to talk about it too. Because these ideas, when they're shared openly, that's how we learn from each other.